He saw her holding a rose from another man. What happened next destroyed his career, made international headlines, and exposed a secret he'd been hiding for 3 years. A $50,000 guitar smashed to pieces. 3 words screamed into a microphone that changed everything. And an assistant who had to decide if the man she secretly loved was worth saving, or if his jealousy had finally gone too far. Before we dive into this story, we're racing toward 500 subscribers, and we need your help to get there. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us where you're listening from, whether you're driving, working, or winding down for the night. Now, let's get into it. The guitar screamed through the amplifiers as Hunter Black commanded the stage like a dark god descended from rock and roll heaven. His black tank top clung to muscles that could have been carved from marble, every flex of his tattooed arms sending waves of hysteria through the crowd of 3,000 invited guests at the exclusive album preview show in Los Angeles. Backstage, Ava Summers checked her clipboard for the 100th time, her honey blonde hair pulled into a sleek ponytail that kept swinging as she rushed between crew members. 3 years. 3 years of managing the chaos that was Hunter Black. And somehow she still felt her heart skip when he hit those high notes. "Focus, Ava," she muttered to herself, adjusting her fitted blazer over her cream silk blouse. "He's your boss. Your completely impossible, egomaniacal, devastatingly handsome boss." She had learned every trick in the book to survive Hurricane Hunter, the man who once demanded 17 types of bottled water in his dressing room just to see which one she would actually get. The same man who had accidentally confessed on live television that he did not know how to boil an egg, forcing Ava to stage an elaborate cooking demonstration the next day to save his tough guy image. "Ava!" A voice cut through the backstage noise. Derek Williams, the band's lead guitarist, jogged toward her with that easy smile that made most women melt. He was handsome in a boy-next-door way, with sandy brown hair and gentle green eyes. "You look stressed. Here." He pulled a single red rose from behind his back, presenting it with an exaggerated bow. "Derek, you're ridiculous." Ava laughed, accepting the flower. "Where did you even get this?" "Stole it from the VIP table arrangement. Thought you deserved something beautiful after dealing with His Majesty's demands all day." "Did he really ask for the dressing room to be repainted this morning?" "Twice. He changed his mind about the shade of black." Derek's laugh was warm and genuine. "There are shades of black?" "According to Hunter, there are exactly 47, and only one is acceptable for his creative energy." Ava rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. "Thank you for this. Really, it's been a day." What neither of them noticed was Hunter Black himself, standing in the shadows of the stage wing, having stepped off for a quick costume change. His dark eyes, usually burning with stage fire, had turned to ice as he watched Derek lean closer to Ava, watched her laugh at something he said, watched her accept that damned rose like it was the crown jewels, his jaw clenched so hard he could feel his teeth grinding. "Hunter, you're on in 2, his stage manager called. He did not respond. His entire focus remained locked on Ava, on the way she held that flower, on how Derek's hand briefly touched her arm. Something dark and primal twisted in his chest. Something he had been ignoring for 3 years. "Hunter?" "I heard you," he growled, grabbing his backup guitar. He stormed back onto the stage, and the crowd erupted. But for once, the adulation meant nothing. From his elevated position, he could see everything. He could see Ava moving through the backstage area, still holding that rose. He could see Derek watching her go with obvious appreciation. The song changed to one of his biggest hits, a power ballad about obsession and desire. Hunter's fingers moved automatically over the strings, but his eyes kept drifting backstage. Ava emerged in his line of sight again, and this time Derek was with her. They were laughing about something. Derek pointed at the rose, and Ava brought it to her nose, inhaling its scent. Hunter's next chord came out wrong. Jagged. Violent. The crowd thought it was intentional. They cheered harder. But something had snapped inside Hunter Black. 3 years of watching Ava handle his life while keeping him at arm's length. 3 years of her professional smiles and efficient manner while he lay awake at night thinking about the curve of her neck, the way her eyes sparkled when she thought he wasn't looking, the sound of her laugh that she gave so freely to everyone except him. 3 years of wanting something he had convinced himself he could never have. And now Derek Williams, his own guitarist, was giving her roses and making her smile in ways Hunter never could. The song ended. The crowd demanded more. Hunter stood at the edge of the stage, chest heaving, and watched Ava tuck that rose into her bag like it was something precious. "Who gave you that rose?" The words tore from his throat before he could stop them, amplified through every speaker in the venue. The crowd went silent. Ava's head snapped up, her blue eyes wide with confusion. "Hunter?" She stepped closer to the stage. "What are you doing?" "The rose, Ava. Who gave you that rose?" 3,000 phones rose into the air, recording every second. "This is not the time," Ava hissed, her cheeks flushing. "Finish the show. Answer me." Derek stepped forward, hands raised. "Hunter, man, it's just a flower. I was just being friendly." Something in Hunter's expression shifted. Something dangerous. "Friendly," he repeated, his voice deadly calm. "You were being friendly with my assistant Derek. She's not your property, dude." The next few seconds would become rock and roll legend. Hunter Black, 6'3" of pure muscle and barely contained rage, lifted his custom Gibson Les Paul guitar worth over $50,000, raised it above his head, and brought it crashing down onto the stage. Once, twice, 3 times. Splinters of wood and metal flew through the air. The crowd screamed, half in shock, half in absolute euphoria at witnessing the meltdown of the decade. But Hunter was not finished. He grabbed the microphone stand. "She's mine!" he roared into the silence. "Do you understand? She's mine." Then, as if suddenly realizing what he had done, where he was, he froze. The rage drained from his face, replaced by something that looked almost like fear. Ava stood backstage with her hand pressed over her mouth, the rose forgotten at her feet. Tears she refused to let fall burned in her eyes. "Hunter," she whispered, but he could not hear her over the chaos erupting around them. Security rushed the stage. Publicists were already on their phones. The hashtag Hunter Black Meltdown would be trending worldwide within minutes. And Hunter just stood there, surrounded by the wreckage of his guitar, staring at Ava like a man who had just destroyed everything that mattered. The next morning, Ava let herself into Hunter's penthouse apartment using her emergency key. The blackout curtains were drawn, but she could make out his form sprawled across the leather couch, still wearing his stage clothes from the night before. "You're alive," she said flatly. "That's unfortunate for your career, because being dead might actually be easier to spin than this." He groaned, throwing an arm over his eyes. "Ava, don't." She threw her tablet onto his chest. "Read." The headlines screamed at him. Hunter Black's jealous rage shocks fans. Rockstar's public meltdown. Who is the woman behind the explosion? Hunter Black. Toxic masculinity or tortured artist? "My publicist quit," he said. "I know. She called me at 3 a.m, crying. I had to talk her out of selling her story to TMZ. Hunter finally sat up, and Ava had to steel herself against the sight of him. Even disheveled and clearly hungover, he was devastatingly beautiful. His dark hair fell across his forehead, and those eyes that could burn through a stadium now looked lost and vulnerable. "What do we do?" he asked, and his voice was smaller than she had ever heard it. "We? There is no we, Hunter. This is your mess. Please." He stood, crossing to her in 3 long strides. This close, she could smell his cologne mixed with sweat and desperation. "I know I messed up. I know I was completely out of line. But I can't fix this without you. I can't do anything without you. You should have thought about that before you declared ownership of me in front of 3,000 people and destroyed a guitar worth more than my yearly salary. I'll give you a raise. I don't want a raise, Hunter. I want to understand what the hell is going on in your head. She poked him in his very solid chest. 3 years I've worked for you. 3 years of your tantrums and your demands and your complete inability to function like a normal human being. And not once have you ever behaved like this. So what changed? What is happening? His hands caught hers, holding them against his heart. She could feel it pounding beneath her palms. You want to know what changed, Ava? You want to know what's happening? His voice dropped to a rough whisper. I'll tell you. I watched another man give you something beautiful, and I realized I've never done that. I realized that in 3 years, I've given you nothing but headaches and stress and chaos, and when I saw you smile at him, really smile, I knew. Knew what? That I don't want anyone else making you smile like that. That the thought of you with someone else makes me want to destroy 1,000 guitars. That somewhere along the way, you became the most important person in my life. And I've been too much of a coward to admit it. Ava's breath caught in her throat. Hunter, I know I'm a mess. I know I don't deserve you. I know this is the worst possible timing after I just humiliated both of us in front of the entire world. He pressed his forehead to hers. But I can't pretend anymore, Ava. I can't watch you walk away from me at the end of every day and act like it doesn't kill me. She should pull away. She should remind him that she was his employee, that this was inappropriate, that his emotions were running high because of the chaos he had created. Instead, she found herself asking, is this real? Or is this just Hunter Black having another moment? This is the realest thing I've ever felt in my life. The sound of her phone buzzing shattered the moment. Ava stepped back, her cheeks flushed, her mind spinning. The record label, she said, looking at the screen. They want an emergency meeting in an hour. Hunter's expression hardened. So we're back to business. We have to be. Whatever this is between us, it doesn't matter if you don't have a career left. She gathered herself, slipping back into professional mode like armor. Shower, dress, look like Hunter Black, not like a man who just had a breakdown. We'll figure out the rest later. Will we? Ava paused at the door, looking back at him. Something raw and honest flickered in her eyes before she masked it. I don't know, Hunter. I honestly don't know. She left him standing there, surrounded by the morning headlines of his disaster, wondering if he had just ruined everything or finally started something real. The meeting with the record label went exactly as badly as Ava had predicted. 3 executives in expensive suits took turns explaining to Hunter how he had single-handedly jeopardized a $60 million album launch and potentially damaged the company's reputation beyond repair. Hunter sat through it all in uncharacteristic silence, his jaw tight, his dark eyes fixed on some point beyond the conference room windows. Ava noticed his hands were clenched beneath the table, the tendons in his forearms standing out against his skin. The board is considering shelving the album entirely. The lead executive, a severe woman named Patricia Holden, concluded. Unless we can find a way to rehabilitate your image in the next 2 weeks. What do you suggest? Ava asked, since Hunter seemed incapable of speech. We need him to appear stable, controlled, preferably in a relationship that suggests he's settled down. The jealous boyfriend angle is only charming if there's an actual relationship to justify it. Hunter's head snapped toward her. You want me to fake a relationship? We want you to fix this mess, Mr. Black. How you do that is your business. Patricia gathered her files. 2 weeks. Make America fall in love with you again, or your career is over. After the executives left, Ava and Hunter sat in silence for a long moment. So, he finally said, his voice rough, I guess I'm finding a fake girlfriend. That's your takeaway from this meeting? What else am I supposed to do, Ava? You heard them. My album. My tour. Everything I've worked for is about to disappear because I couldn't control myself for 5 minutes. You could actually change, she suggested. Novel concept, I know. He turned to look at her, and something in his expression made her breath catch. Would that be enough? If I actually changed, would that be enough for you? This isn't about me. Everything is about you. He stood, running a hand through his dark hair in frustration. Don't you get it yet? The reason I exploded wasn't because I'm some out-of-control rock star with anger issues. It was because for 3 years, I've watched you manage my life while I've been too scared to tell you that you are my life. Ava pressed her fingers to her temples. Hunter, I can't have this conversation right now. We need to focus on damage control. Fine. His voice went cold. Business it is. What's my schedule? You have the Children's Hospital Charity Gala tomorrow night. It's been on the books for months, and canceling would make the situation worse. A room full of rich people judging me. Perfect. You'll need a date. Their eyes met. The air between them crackled with tension. I'm your assistant, Hunter, not your arm candy. What if I asked you as something else? Ava's heart hammered against her ribs. You can't just declare that you have feelings for me and expect everything to change overnight. I need time to process this. We have history, complications, and right now, you're radioactive. Anyone seen with you romantically is going to be picked apart by the media. I don't care about the media. Well, I do. I care about my reputation, my future, my plans to eventually leave this chaos behind and build something of my own. She grabbed her bag, avoiding his gaze. Find a date for tomorrow. Someone appropriate. I'll be there working, like always. She made it to the door before his voice stopped her. Ava. He sounded broken. I'm sorry, for the guitar, for the scene, for putting you in this position. I'm sorry for all of it. She did not turn around. If she looked at him now, she might do something stupid. I know you are, but sorry doesn't fix everything. The charity gala was being held in a converted warehouse space in downtown Los Angeles, transformed into an elegant wonderland of twinkling lights and white roses. Ava arrived early to oversee Hunter's arrangements, her emerald green dress hugging her curves in ways that were definitely not appropriate for working. But she was not technically working tonight. She had hired a temp to manage Hunter's schedule for the evening, freeing herself to attend as a guest for the first time in 3 years. You look incredible. She turned to find Derek Williams standing behind her, looking dapper in a classic black tuxedo. His smile was warm but cautious. I owe you an apology, he said. I never meant for that rose to cause such a mess. You couldn't have known Hunter would lose his mind. Actually, I probably should have. Derek glanced around, lowering his voice. Look, I'm just the guitarist, but I've watched Hunter for 2 years now. The way he looks at you when he thinks no one's watching, that's not how a boss looks at an assistant. Derek, I'm just saying, whatever's happening between you two, it's been building for a long time. The rose just lit the fuse. He offered his arm. Can I at least get you a drink before he shows up and glares me into another dimension? Ava laughed despite herself. 1 drink, and then I'm hiding in the crowd before the drama starts. They had barely reached the bar when the room's energy shifted. Ava did not need to turn around to know Hunter had arrived. She could feel it, that electric charge that always preceded him. Oh my God, someone nearby whispered. Is he alone? Ava finally looked. Hunter Black stood at the entrance in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit that emphasized his powerful frame, his dark hair artfully tousled, his jaw shadowed with stubble that made him look dangerously handsome. And he was, indeed, alone. His eyes scanned the room with the intensity of a predator seeking prey. When they landed on Ava, standing at the bar with Derek's hand still on her arm, Something flickered across his face. But this time, he controlled it. She watched him take a deep breath, square his shoulders, and deliberately turn away to greet the gala's organizers. "Progress," Derek murmured. "He didn't break anything. The night is young." For the next hour, Ava watched Hunter work the room with a charm she had never seen him employ so effectively. He posed for photos, made self-deprecating jokes about his meltdown, and donated an obscene amount of money to the children's hospital. The crowd began to thaw, their judgment melting under the force of his charisma. But every few minutes his eyes would find hers across the room. And every time, Ava felt that look like a physical touch. The trouble started when a well-meaning socialite decided to corner Ava near the silent auction tables. "You're his assistant, aren't you? The one from the video." The woman's eyes gleamed with gossip-hungry delight. "What's it really like, working for him? Is he as intense off stage as he is on?" "I really couldn't say," Ava replied, desperately seeking an escape route. "Oh, come on. We're all dying to know. Is he involved with anyone? The way he screamed that you were his was positively primitive." Ava spotted Hunter heading toward them, his expression darkening as he noticed her discomfort. "Excuse me," she blurted. "I need to check on something." She fled before he could reach her, ducking behind a massive floral arrangement, and then through a service door. The back hallways of the converted warehouse were a maze of exposed pipes and storage areas. She kept moving until she found a quiet corner near what appeared to be an old freight elevator. Hiding? She whirled to find Hunter leaning against the opposite wall, arms crossed over his chest, a slight smirk on his devastatingly handsome face. "How did you find me? I've spent 3 years watching you navigate crowded rooms. I know all your escape routes." He pushed off the wall, moving closer. "That woman was about to eat you alive. I can handle myself. I know you can. But you shouldn't have to. Not because of me." The dim lighting softened his features, making him look younger, more vulnerable. Ava pressed her back against the cool wall as he stopped in front of her, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body. "You're doing well tonight," she said, her voice embarrassingly breathless. "The crowd is warming up to you." "I don't care about the crowd." His hand came up to rest on the wall beside her head. "I care about you. Are you warming up to me?" "Hunter, we're at a charity event. Anyone could walk in. Then let them." His other hand found her waist, his touch gentle but possessive. "I meant what I said yesterday, Ava. Every word. And I know I have a lot to prove, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes." "Whatever it takes?" "Whatever it takes. If you want me to go to therapy, I'll go. If you want me to take anger management classes, I'll take them. If you want me to learn how to cook so I can make you dinner like a normal person, I'll learn." Despite everything, Ava laughed. "You? Cook? I'm serious. Hunter, you once asked me to unwrap a protein bar for you because you didn't want to mess up your manicure before a photo shoot. That was one time. It was 17 times. He had the grace to look embarrassed. "Okay, but I'm willing to change. That's the point. I want to be someone worthy of you." Before she could respond, footsteps echoed down the hallway. They both froze as a security guard turned the corner, his flashlight beam catching them in their compromising position. "Oh," the guard said, clearly recognizing Hunter. You can't really be back here." Hunter straightened, his Rockstar persona sliding back into place. "We were just looking for the restrooms." "Together?" "My assistant was feeling unwell. I was checking on her." The guard's eyebrows rose nearly to his hairline, but he gestured them toward the main event. "Restrooms are near the entrance. I'll escort you." The awkward walk back to the gala gave Ava time to compose herself. By the time they rejoined the party, she had rebuilt her walls, even if they felt significantly more fragile than before. "Tomorrow night," Hunter said quietly. before they parted ways. Let me cook for you. A real attempt. No assistants, no staff, just us. That sounds like a terrible idea. It probably is, but I'm asking anyway. Ava looked at him, at the hope in his dark eyes, at the vulnerability he was trying so hard to hide. 3 years of professionalism, 3 years of careful boundaries, and now everything was shifting beneath her feet. Fine, she heard herself say, but if you burn down your apartment, I'm not putting out the fire. His smile was blinding. I'll text you the time. 24 hours later, Ava stood in the doorway of Hunter's penthouse kitchen, watching smoke pour from the oven, while Hunter beat at something in a pan that had clearly died a horrible death. "What are you making?" she asked, unable to keep the laughter from her voice. It was supposed to be pasta with homemade tomato sauce and grilled chicken. He gestured helplessly at the chaos around him. The pasta is stuck together in a giant ball. The sauce exploded inside the microwave because I didn't know you had to cover it, and I'm pretty sure this chicken is now a biohazard. The kitchen looked like a crime scene. Tomato sauce decorated the ceiling. Pasta water had boiled over onto the stovetop, and the smoke alarm was screaming so loudly that Ava had to cover her ears. "This is the worst thing I've ever seen," she shouted over the alarm. "And I once watched you argue with a vending machine for 20 minutes. The vending machine was wrong." She grabbed a towel and climbed onto the counter to fan the smoke detector, finally silencing its wail. When she looked down, Hunter was staring up at her with an expression of complete adoration. "What?" she asked. "You climbed onto my counter in a designer dress to save us from the fire department. You're incredible. I'm practical. There's a difference." She hopped down, accepting the hand he offered to steady her landing. But once her feet touched the floor, neither of them let go. "I failed," he admitted quietly. "I wanted to show you I could be normal, and I failed spectacularly." Ava looked at the disaster around them, at this powerful, famous man who had never learned basic life skills, because there had always been someone else to handle them, at the genuine disappointment in his eyes because he had wanted to impress her. "You know what?" she said. "Let's order pizza." "Really?" "Really. And while we wait, you can help me clean this disaster, and we can maybe try having a normal conversation, like regular people." Hunter's smile was smaller this time, but somehow more real. "I don't know how to be a regular person, Ava. I've been Hunter Black since I was 19. "Then let me meet whoever you were before that." She squeezed his hand. "I think I might like him." 2 weeks can change everything. Ava learned this truth one revelation at a time, as the man she thought she knew began showing her someone entirely different. It started that night in his kitchen, covered in tomato sauce, eating pizza on his floor because all the chairs were somehow also victims of his cooking disaster. "My real name is Henry," he confessed between bites. "Henry Marcus Blackwood. I grew up in Ohio. My dad left when I was 12, and my mom worked 3 jobs to keep us afloat. I changed it when I got signed, because the label thought Hunter Black sounded more marketable." "Henry," Ava repeated, testing the name. "It suits you. Less threatening." "I'm not threatening." "Hunter, you once made a roadie cry because he handed you the wrong guitar pick." "That was different. That was stage Hunter. This is just Henry." He set down his pizza, turning to face her fully. "That's what I'm trying to tell you. I've been playing this character for so long, I forgot there was someone underneath. But when I'm with you, I remember." Those words stayed with her as the days passed. True to his word, Hunter enrolled in both therapy and anger management classes, fitting them around his schedule with a commitment that surprised everyone, including himself. He started sending Ava texts throughout the day, not demands for her assistance, but random observations about his life. "My therapist says I have attachment issues," one message read. "I told her I'm attached to my assistant. She said that's a different conversation. The anger management instructor made us squeeze stress balls today. I squeezed mine so hard it exploded. Is that progress or regression? I tried to make coffee myself this morning. The machine is now on fire. Please advise. The media narrative began to shift. Somehow, stories started leaking about Hunter's charity work, his therapy commitment, his genuine efforts to grow as a person. Ava suspected his new publicist, a sharp woman named Vanessa, who seemed to understand exactly how to reshape his image. But it was the small moments that changed things between them. The way Hunter started actually listening when she spoke, instead of waiting for his turn to talk. The way he began asking about her dreams of starting her own business, offering to invest not as a boss, but as someone who believed in her. The way he looked at her now, without hiding, without pretense, with a vulnerability that made her heart ache. 1 week before his album launch, Hunter called her into his home office with an expression of barely contained excitement. "I have something for you," he announced, bouncing on his feet like an overgrown child. "If it's another attempt at cooking, I'm calling the fire department preemptively." "Better. Close your eyes." Against her better judgment, she complied. She heard rustling, the sound of paper, and then his hands were guiding hers to hold something rectangular and heavy. "Okay, look." She opened her eyes to find a leather-bound portfolio in her hands. Inside were documents, official-looking paperwork, and at the top, a logo she did not recognize. "What is this?" "Your company, or rather, the foundation for it." Hunter was practically vibrating with nervous energy. "I hired a lawyer to set up the LLC, I found an office space downtown that's available for lease, and I've already lined up 3 potential clients who need event management from someone who can handle impossible personalities." He paused. "That last part is a compliment, by the way." Ava stared at the documents, her hands trembling. "Hunter, this must have cost a fortune." "I have a fortune. I'd rather spend it on something that matters." He moved closer, tilting her chin up to meet his gaze. "I know I can't buy your feelings. That's not what this is. This is me showing you that I listen when you talk, that I remember what you want, that I want you to have your dreams, even if they lead you away from me." Tears she could not explain burned in her eyes. "Why would you do this if it means losing me?" "Because loving someone means wanting them to be happy, even if their happiness doesn't include you." His thumb brushed across her cheek, catching a tear that had escaped. "My therapist taught me that. Well, she tried to teach me a lot of things, but that one actually stuck." Ava laughed through her tears, the sound wet and slightly hysterical. "You're impossible, you know that. Impossibly in love with you. Impossibly hoping you might feel the same." He took a shaky breath. "Impossibly terrified that I'm about to make a fool of myself again." She thought about the past 3 years, about the chaos and the frustration, and the moments of unexpected sweetness buried beneath all the Rockstar bravado. She thought about the past 2 weeks, about watching a man genuinely try to become better, not for his career or his image, but for her. She thought about how empty her life would feel without him in it. "Your birthday is next week," she said, and his face fell at the apparent subject change. "Yes, I'm trying not to think about it. I got you a present." "Ava, you don't have to." "I know I don't have to." She set the portfolio carefully on his desk, then turned back to him with determination in her eyes. "But I wanted to. The problem is, now you've set an impossibly high bar with this grand gesture, and my gift seems inadequate." A smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. "It's not a competition. Everything with you is a competition." She grabbed his hand, pulling him toward the door. "Come on. Your gift is at my apartment." The drive across Los Angeles felt eternal, filled with Hunter's increasingly creative guesses about what she could possibly have gotten him. By the time they reached her modest but tasteful apartment, he had suggested everything from a rare guitar to a private island. "It's not a private island," she said, leading him inside. "Disappointing. I've always wanted one." "You already have one. That one doesn't count. I've never been there. Ava's apartment was everything Hunter's penthouse was not. Warm, cozy, filled with books and plants and photographs of people she loved. He moved through the space like a man in a museum, studying every detail. Is that you? He pointed to a photo of a young girl in a soccer uniform. I was 11. We won the regional championship. You're adorable. I was covered in mud and missing a tooth. Adorably covered in mud and missing a tooth. Ava retrieved a wrapped box from her bookshelf, suddenly nervous in a way she had not anticipated. Here. It's not a business plan or an office space. It's just something I thought you might like. Hunter unwrapped it carefully, as if the paper itself was precious. Inside was a simple leather journal, worn soft with age. I know it doesn't look like much, Ava rushed to explain. But it was my grandfather's. He was a songwriter too, back in the day. Never made it big, but he filled this journal with lyrics and poems and bits of melody. I thought maybe, when you're having trouble finding inspiration, you could look through it and remember that music starts with something real. Hunter stared at the journal for so long that Ava began to worry she had made a terrible mistake. You hate it, she said. I'm sorry. It's stupid compared to what you gave me. Stop. His voice was thick with emotion. Just stop for a second. He looked up at her, and she was shocked to see tears in his eyes. The same man who had broken a guitar in front of thousands of people, who commanded stadiums and sold out world tours, was crying over an old journal. No one has ever given me something like this, he said. Something with meaning. Something personal. Do you understand? I get gold records and expensive watches and things that look good in photos, but this is yours. This was your grandfather's, and you're giving it to me. Because you matter, Ava whispered. Because underneath all the chaos I see someone worth knowing. Someone worth keeping. Hunter closed the distance between them in 2 steps, cradling her face in his hands like she was something infinitely precious. I'm going to kiss you now, he warned. If you want to stop me, this is your chance. I don't want to stop you. He kissed her like a man starved, like a man who had been waiting his whole life for this moment. Ava melted into him, her hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer as everything she had been holding back came flooding through. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Hunter rested his forehead against hers. I love you, he said. I've loved you for 3 years. I'll love you for 300 more if you let me. 300 seems optimistic. I'm feeling optimistic. He kissed her again, softer this time. Say you'll give me a chance. Say you'll let me prove I can be the man you deserve. Ava thought about her business plan, her dreams, her carefully constructed future. And then she thought about how colorless that future seemed without his chaos in it. I have conditions, she said. Name them. You keep going to therapy. You keep working on yourself. You accept that I'm going to start my own company, and that means I won't be your assistant anymore. Done. What else? You let me love you back. Her voice cracked slightly. Because I do. I've been fighting it for years. But I do love you, Hunter. Henry. Whoever you are. His smile was like sunrise after a long, dark night. Then I guess chaos really is the beginning of something real. The album launch was a triumph. Critics praised Hunter's new vulnerability, the way his songs seemed to come from a more authentic place. The world tour sold out in minutes. And through it all, Ava was by his side, no longer as his assistant, but as his partner, his grounding force, his home. Her event management company launched 3 months later to immediate success. It turned out that 3 years of managing Hunter Black had prepared her for literally anything the world could throw at her. Her client list grew rapidly, filled with celebrities who wanted someone who could handle even the most impossible situations with grace and efficiency. Hunter attended her launch party with an expression of pride so profound that several tabloids speculated about engagement rings. Not yet, he told the reporters with a mysterious smile. But someday, when she's ready. Ava caught his eye across the room and felt that familiar flutter that had never quite gone away. Sometimes, she reflected, love came in unexpected packages. Sometimes it showed up wearing leather pants and a bad attitude, demanding 17 types of bottled water and throwing tantrums on stage. And sometimes, if you were patient enough, if you looked closely enough, you found someone extraordinary hiding beneath all the chaos. Someone worth fighting for. Someone worth loving. Someone who would break 1,000 guitars just to make sure you knew you mattered. That night, after the guests had left and the success had been celebrated, Hunter found Ava on her new office balcony, looking out at the Los Angeles skyline. "Penny for your thoughts?" he asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "I was thinking about roses." "Roses?" Derek's rose. The one that started all of this. Hunter tensed slightly. "I never did apologize to him properly. He quit the band because of me. He rejoined last week. He told me he forgave you. Magnanimous of him." "Hunter." Ava turned in his arms, facing him with a smile playing on her lips. "I never said thank you." "For what?" "For losing control. For showing me what you really felt." She kissed him gently. "For choosing me, even when you were terrible at expressing it." Hunter laughed, the sound rich and warm and free. "I'm still terrible at a lot of things, but I'm better when I'm with you." "Yes." She pulled him closer. "You are." Above them, the stars flickered over a city that never stopped moving, and two people who had started as chaos found something that felt a lot like peace. A lot like home. A lot like forever. So here's my question for you. If you were Ava, after 3 years of dealing with Hunter's chaos, his demands, his impossible ego, would you have given him that second chance? Would you have seen beyond the Rockstar facade to the broken man underneath? Or would you have walked away the moment he smashed that guitar and claimed you as his in front of thousands of people? Some people say what Hunter did was unforgivable. That jealousy like that is a red flag, a warning sign, the beginning of something dangerous. But others say it was the most honest thing he ever did. That sometimes love explodes out of us in ways we can't control, and the real measure of a person is what they do after the explosion. Hunter chose to change. He chose therapy. He chose vulnerability. He chose to become someone worthy of the woman he loved. But was that enough? Should one grand gesture, one real effort at growth, erase years of selfish behavior? I want to know what you think. Drop your answer in the comments right now. Tell me, would you have given Hunter Black a second chance? And here's another question that's been burning in my mind. Derek, the guitarist, the one who gave Ava that rose, who forgave Hunter, who rejoined the band like nothing ever happened. Was he a good guy who genuinely just wanted to be kind to Ava? Or did he know exactly what he was doing when he handed her that flower in full view of a man who was clearly in love with her? Some of you are going to say Derek was innocent. Some of you are going to say he was stirring the pot. I want to hear both sides. Comment below and tell me what you really think about Derek Williams. Now, if this story made you feel something, if you found yourself rooting for Hunter even when he was at his worst, or cheering for Ava when she finally let herself be vulnerable, then you're going to love what's coming next. We've got stories that will make you laugh, stories that will make you cry, and stories that will keep you up at night, wondering what you would do in the same situation. But here's the thing. I need your help. We're so close to reaching 500 subscribers, and every single subscription brings us closer to creating even more stories like this one. It takes 2 seconds. Just hit that subscribe button and help us reach our goal. And while you're at it, leave a comment telling me where you're listening from. Are you driving? Working out? Falling asleep? I want to know where these stories find you, because this community we're building, it's not just about stories. It's about connection. It's about finding people who feel things as deeply as we do. So subscribe, comment, and come back for the next story. Because if you think Hunter Black was intense, wait until you see what's coming next.